Welcome to the RockStar in Life podcast, where you learn the secrets to unleashing your inner rock star so you can make the world your stage. What's up, rock stars in life? It's Siri Shakti, and I have my co-host here,
Dr. Dan.
All right, guys. Well, today we're going to be talking about...
Well, first off,
yes.
Be sure to say hello because you weren't here last week.
Oh, that's right.
You were
yes,
sick.
I was sick. I lost my voice.
No, you were not sick. You were cleansing.
I was cleansing.
Yep.
Actually, I really was cleansing. Yes. And I'm doing so much better now, but I had lost my voice. So I went into the room to record, and I'm like, I very quietly whispered, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun, but I didn't want you like coughing all over me. So
yeah,
I figured I'd do it without you.
Yeah, I think that was a good call.
Nice. All right. Well, that was the lighter side. So let's get into the serious talk.
Yes. Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about something that is very fresh in people's minds all around the United States right now. And that's because we have so much of this going on. And let me just put out there before I explain what we're going to be talking about today. I find it very sad that we even have to discuss this, but we're going to discuss these school shootings that have been going on seems like they're happening more frequently now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not good.
No, it's not. And you know, the thing about this is that when, you get on the news, you listen to people talking about it, and people like to point fingers in different directions. And the truth is that there's not just one reason why this is happening, right? I mean, I know we discussed that earlier. It's easy to say it's just gun control, but it's not just that. There's other things that this is all stemming from, and that's just on the surface, Yeah,
well, there's a lot more to it, obviously.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of ingredients to bake this kind of a crap cake, I should say.
Big time, yeah.
And we're not here to discuss whose fault it is, or, we need stricter gun control, or we need more guns, or we need less guns, or, we need to train the teachers in, hand-to-hand combat. We need to give them grenades. We need to, we need to put collars on kids. So if they do something, you can press a button and their head explodes.
Oh, that's an interesting solution.
Like in the movie Running Man, when they run too far past the barricades, whatever, the thing when they try and run away and then their head explodes off their head or anything like that. So we're not here to solve those things right now because, I don't, on Facebook, I constantly see in social media, I constantly see people like just arguing back and forth, like, don't take my guns away, or, you should take away the guns. You should do this. You should do that. And that's great. I mean, it starts a conversation and there's some great ideas out there, but man, people just keep arguing and fighting like they're going to solve it between those two people. Like they're going to convince those people that are unconvincible right now in this moment, when we should not be spending as much time trying to argue with people that just do not see the sky is blue.
Yeah.
They've got purple glasses on or green sunglasses on, and they think the sky is green. While, you can sit there and yell and scream and say you've got glasses on. They're like, no, I don't, because they were born with those glasses, and that's the color they see. So that's what they believe. Their beliefs are their beliefs. So instead of spending all that time arguing with those people, let's go to a solution. And part of the solution is to be a light for the children.
Yes.
To be more aware of what's going on in their lives. I mean, take an active role, and it's never too late. Obviously, starting early is even better. For us, our children are homeschooled. We've talked about this plenty of times, and this is one of the biggest reasons. It's not because of school shootings, but because of we understand, because we were kind of lost in the system. It's kind of like waking out of the Matrix, where you realize you're in a computer program and it's just never the same again. And when you wake up and realize, like, one big indicator for me was, I was not really doing my work. I would go through my tests, and I would, like, on the Scantron thing, I would go like A, B, B, C, C, A, B, D, A, and just go through it at the normal pace because I just didn't want to take the test and I couldn't focus.
Yeah.
And because I couldn't focus and I couldn't study, a lot of the things just, like, it felt like it was like the struggle in my head that I would just, skip all that stuff and I wouldn't do my homework. And it was hard. It was difficult for me to focus and to concentrate and to be able to do that stuff. And I saw no point in it. And they still passed me.
Wow.
So it was like you just kind of felt like you just kind of woke up and you're just like, they're not really here to really help me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more like a babysitting. It's like no different than like them turning on the television,
Yes.
and saying, go sit next to the electronic babysitter.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what school was for me.
Yeah. That's such a good point, because I've talked to so many parents about this type of
And it's gotten worse.
subject over the years. And, some kids thrive in that type of setting, but I'd say more kids
But they would thrive
don't.
regardless because they're just naturally great students
Yes.
in the way they're taught.
Yes.
In the program or whatever you call it, the style of teaching, they would progress in anything. They would, you wouldn't need, they don't even need a teacher.
Yeah.
They're just naturally great at that. It's like throwing a basketball at a kid that's got natural talent, and all of a sudden, they just keep practicing and they just keep practicing. All of a sudden they're slam dunking and they're like one of the best.
Yeah.
It's not because they had that one teacher or something that taught them to be naturally gifted,
Yeah. I think that also goes with the social aspect of school, how some kids thrive in a school setting in a large number, with a lot of kids, and then others just feel lost in it, and they keep to themselves. And my inclination is that a lot of these kids that are causing these school shootings are kind of fall into that category of, maybe kind of being loners or different and keeping to themselves. And because I know I've heard a little bit about, some of the teens that actually cause the shootings. And
it reminds me of a great story that I remember. And it's one of those stories that, I've got a few of them in my head that I go back to constantly. And I do this in my own head where it reminds me of decisions I make. And it kind of helps shape my life and keep me on track. And one of them was the story, and I'm sure you probably remember, I know you've heard it at least once.
Okay.
Where there was this man, and he was walking along the stream, and he all of a sudden saw somebody, like gasping and screaming for help in the water. They were drowning. And they're like, help, 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 help. So, he goes and grabs a rope and throws it, there's a rope there, and he throws it and the person grabs it and he's wheeling him in, right? Wheel him in. And then all of a sudden he gets that one person out of the water, gets him to the shore, and they thank him. And then all of a sudden he sees another one, and then he throws another rope, and he, the same rope, and he's like pulling that person in, gets that person in. All of a sudden now there's two people drowning, and he's like, grabbing rope and throwing them out to them and trying to save them. And it's just one after another. And he just keeps trying to save them one by one,
Yeah.
So instead of, he's trying to save one by one, instead of just walking up the stream and seeing what's causing all these people to fall into the water.
Oh, wow.
Like what is the cause of this?
Yeah.
That's forcing this to happen,
Yes.
because you could fix it at the source. And if you fix it at the source, then you're not going to have that same thing happen down the stream.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he could have, in this analogy, he could have given the rope to the people that he just saved and said, hey, keep saving these people. and a couple of you come with me and let's figure out what's going on down there and let's try and stop this.
Yes.
Let's
Leverage your
figure out what's
efforts.
going.
Yeah. Leverage the efforts, right?
And this is really simple for me. I mean, in my life, I assess the situation constantly in my life.
Yeah.
Where, I'll walk ahead if I see something, and I walk ahead to see what's going on, opposed to just assuming. And a better example for what I'm getting to is that, it's not about a reactionary, let's have stricter gun laws. Let's do this. Let's take away all the guns. Let's do all these things. Yes, those things need to happen.
Right. Yes.
I'm not disagreeing with that. But in the meantime, we also have to take some, not responsibility, but we need to volunteer.
Yeah.
We need to be a light for good. We need to put our hands up and say, you know what else can I do?
Yes.
And instead of just sitting back and being like a backseat driver and screaming at the people that, that are supposed to be steering, this ship, right?
Right.
And saying like the lawmakers and, and the people and, and the government and all these people. Yes, do that.
Yeah.
But you also have to also look at all the angles.
Yeah.
You have to look at the source. You have to look at, while I'm doing that, what else can I do? And that stems with the children. The children are the ones that are doing this. The kids are actually making the decision to grab a gun.
Yes.
And go shoot up. And this can happen anywhere. So what can you do to help prevent this?
Yeah.
And it's starting with your own children, with your children's friends, with your family's children. If everybody, obviously not every single person, it'd be great if every single person in this world would raise their hand and say, yes, I'll do that. But we all know, like you need a license to drive a car, right? You need a license to drive a car. You need a license to freaking fish. You need a license to go hunt. But any asshole can have a kid, right?
Yes.
So if anybody can have a child that they can be a parent.
Oh boy.
But not everyone can actually raise a child.
Yeah.
They can, they're capable, but will they? Not everyone will. So this is where you come in.
Something that I like, the way that I like to look at it is, and this is how I've always related to like my children's friends and, whenever they're with us or whenever I'm like, let's say if I'm at my daughter's dance studio and I'm around her, the young people, the teens and the junior high kids and elementary school kids. And when I always feel like when I am in their presence that I watch after them, and not that I am their parent, but I keep an eye out. I pay attention. I kind of place myself into that role of being like a protector in a way. And I feel like if more of us kind of have that way of stepping into those shoes, then when you're at your child's school or, even when you're just picking them up from school or you're participating and helping out, pay attention to what's going on. You can begin to pick up on how people are feeling and what's going on with kids, with parents, with teachers, and get a sense of where they're at, and I'm not going to say this is always going to solve everything, but this is our way of taking back some of our personal power of having our eyes wide open and paying attention. And if you are noticing that there is a young person that is struggling or doesn't have friends or is hanging out with the wrong group or whatever situation, and you don't feel like they're getting the help that they need, I mean, that's what you're talking about, right, Dan? About being the light and
yeah. I mean, there's no one solution other than saying being the light and taking some kind of step.
Yeah. Whether
it be creating some kind of after school program, whether it be having like, some call-in center where people can call where they're having, challenges, whether you see, it's really easy to fall into this, because I know both of us have been, a victim of this. And we've also been, the bully in this as well, where, it's easy, especially when you're a child, it's easy to pick on somebody else,
right,
and joke around. I mean, heck, even today, even in our age now, we joke around with people. We tease each other in our own family.
Yes, we do.
And we get angry, but we know where, we don't take it beyond, obviously.
Yes.
It's not something that is a running joke constantly every day, and we just tease you to the point to where you're in tears or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's too easy, especially when you're a child. And when I say a child, I'm talking about, you could be a teenager in school, even adult children, right? Adults do this to each other too. And it's really easy though in like high schools and stuff, where they'll tease each other and make fun of each other, and and bully and things like that. And it's like, this needs to stop.
Yeah.
Bullying and all the bullying needs to stop. Nobody's saying to stop having fun, but you know when you've taken it too far.
Yes.
And we need to have more compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's more difficult for children and teenagers to have that compassion. Yeah. So as parents, we need to teach our children this compassion, and we need to look as other children as our children, because we all need to live on this earth together. Mm-hmm. And we're all responsible for each other. Yeah. And if you truly want to protect your children, then this is the way to go. And if you hear of a child that's struggling, or, and if you don't hear of a child that's struggling, then you need to be asking.
Yeah.
You need to be looking, you need to, and we don't need every single person to do something, but be that person.
Yeah.
Because if we're saying, if we yelled into a crowd of 100 people and said, who here is willing to volunteer to be a person, a beacon of light, to be somebody that's going to help other children out and not just think of themselves. And we asked 100 people who was willing to help, we might get, at first we might get like 2 or 3 hands that go up. Then we might get 10. Then we might get 20. And it might stop at 20 or 30. And there's going to be 70 people that don't raise their hand and either think to themselves, I really don't feel like doing that.
Yeah.
or they have enough volunteers already, and if they need more, they'll tell me to do it. And that's fine. But if you're one of those people that would raise your hand first, then be that person. Don't wait for others to do it. Start looking for solutions.
Yeah.
Start asking other parents, what can we do besides fight for stricter gun laws? Require the age to be 25 to get a gun. Now, in this last case of this Texas shooting, that wouldn't have made a difference. From what I read, at least the initial reports, I haven't looked at it since then, because I'm not about to sit there and take on even more negativity.
Yeah.
But I read that, that he took his father's gun or something like that, a parent's gun. So yes, stricter gun laws, 25. Yeah, that people would say, but that wouldn't have helped. Yeah, well, you also need stricter laws of, if somebody, one of your family members takes your guns.
Yeah.
So you need to lock up your guns and hide that key where no one knows where it is. There are a lot of things that we can do, but those are going to be a tougher battle. They're going to be a lot tougher to get those things to change. And yes, you should put energy into that.
Yeah.
But you should also put energy into the children.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are making the decision to do this. And they're the ones that are making the decision to pick and bully on other kids, which is nothing new. This has been going on forever. But now all of a sudden, there's this, there's this fad going on, because it is turning into like a contagious, toxic, virus, where they're looking at that as like, oh, here's a solution.
Yeah.
I can just do this. And then people will fear me. People will respect me in a way. In their own head, they're thinking something like that.
Yeah.
I'll show them,
Yeah. And the first thing I think about when I think of these young people that are doing this, I cannot even fathom the amount of suffering that they must feel to partake in that kind of action. you know? And I do remember not this last shooting, but the one before that. I forgot where that was, but I do remember they were talking about, because they were interviewing some of the survivors, and they were saying that there were warning signs that this student had acted out and was getting into trouble. And so this is what I'm talking about. Like, these are the things that we have to pick up on, and we have to, like you were saying, be that beacon of light, help in some way to intervene and find solution for this person if you're starting to see some warning signs.
Yeah, and I mean, I did read as well, like the parent of this kid that did this, that they said like, oh, this is like totally unlike them. You know, there was no warning signs. Well, if there's no warning signs, then you're not paying attention.
Yes.
And I'm not here to put blame at that person, but they should have been paying attention.
Yeah.
And this is a wake-up call for all of us. Like I said, you know, we're all children on this earth.
Yeah.
We're all part of this earth, I should say. We're not all children, but we're all part of this earth. Mm-hmm. And we all have to look out for each other.
Yeah.
And no more of this divide. You know, where, you know, here's this imaginary border. If you cross this, we'll kick you out and send you somewhere else. Yeah. You know, so this is the step.
Yeah.
Where you need to be there for others.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you now see, like for instance, these teens, what do they have a specific name for what they're like, their group, how they're protesting? And
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay.
Something.
But you see in large numbers across the country, they're standing up, and they're trying so hard to get change to happen. And you know, when we see this stuff happening in our society, this is a huge red flag that is trying to show all of us things need to change, because what is going on right now in our society and like the way that we're educating kids, it is so not working, obviously. Yeah. You know, or we wouldn't be having these issues. And you know, I think what we're really trying to say here is we all have to look at ourselves in the mirror and see, what power do I have in this situation?
What can I do?
What can I do? Yeah.
Yeah. What can I do?
Yeah. Instead of just saying, oh, it's all just going to be solved by, you know, the politicians changing the laws and this and that, which, like you were saying, it does need to happen. But that's like saying you have no power then, that you know, you have no personal power in creating change, which is not true.
Yeah, no, that's like leaving all your doors open to your house and leaving a bunch of money at the front door.
Yeah.
And then saying like, oh, the cops will protect me.
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen.
No.
The cops are not there to prevent the crime from happening. We would like to think they would be, but they don't have the manpower to just drive around your house all day while you leave your door open with money just sitting at the front door saying, come rob me.
Right.
So yes, you need to be there for not only your children, but other people's children as well. Mm-hmm. And we're not saying that you need to go father them or mother them or anything like that, but you know, do something.
Yeah.
You know, and this doesn't just go for people, you know, I mean, when, like I've said before, when you're at the grocery store and, you know, you have a bagger or a checker or somebody that's having a tough day or something, you know, smile, say something nice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because it's so easy for us nowadays, especially with how busy we are. Oh my gosh. I mean, we're all so busy, right?
Yeah.
To just be so into ourselves. Oh, and this was the other point that I wanted to make is that, you know, when your kids are younger, you drop them off, right? I always see like big line. Everyone's dropping their kids off in the morning and picking them up. And
just random places, you mean?
No,
They
from
just,
school.
Like, drop them off. Like,
No.
Hey, kids, go there.
From school.
Drop you off of this tree today.
But I do see some parents get out and, go to their kids. And I personally encourage.
Are they allowed to get out though sometimes? I thought
Oh, no, they
at
are.
least in the movies, they're like, keep it moving.
No, they're allowed. But they'd have to find a parking space and get out. And so I understand that we're all busy. You might not always be able to get out of your car and physically walk over, but there's a difference between quickly picking up your kid than walking over, interacting with, the people that are there and, being more in tune with who's in the school. Or, if you can't do that, like we were saying, get involved. I mean, I have some friends, some girlfriends that are super involved with their kids' school, and they're always helping in classrooms, helping to put together activities. They know all the parents, they know the kids, and that's
be involved in their life.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like we have two, teenage children now, two teenage girls, and Bodie, our son, right? Yeah. And we're constantly, yes, our daughters are more into their own things now.
Yeah.
They're constantly on their phone. They're constantly listening to music, watching YouTube, and, learning all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And doing, and watching shows, and we don't even know fully like what all shows they have because we don't have parental locks on their things, right? But we like to trust them.
Yeah.
And we have conversations with them, and we talk about things, and we let them know that they can always talk to us no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And even if it's something uncomfortable, we might say like, ooh, I really don't want you watching that. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that, opposed to just like, you're not allowed to watch this.
Yeah.
And, and I'm going to lock down everything you have because, I mean, growing up, every child or every kid I knew that grew up with really strict parents, they rebelled hard.
They all rebelled.
And they were like the craziest, like craziest doing the sneaking out, doing the worst stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so we don't want our children, to be like that. Cause like, you can't lock, they're going to figure out ways around everything you do,
Yes.
At some point. I remember, I was with our Wi-Fi, I'm able to lock it down, per a child's like device. So I was able to lock it down, like, I think like at midnight. I said, okay, well, I'm going to lock down the Wi-Fi at midnight. And
I know what you're gonna say.
My daughter Melina, like I think you're the one that told me like, oh, she was listening to something on her phone or something. I thought you turned off her Wi-Fi, and I was like, yep. She figured out the way around it.
Yep.
Which was just turning off the Wi-Fi on her phone, and it was just using the cell phone signal instead, the data. So then I came to her and I said, were you on your phone last night? She's like, yeah. I was like, did you figure out how to get around the lock? And she's like, yeah. And I said, oh, good for you. You figured that out. I was wondering how long it would take you. Can you do me a favor though? Can you go to bed by 1 and get off by midnight or whatever? And, so it's not you're in trouble. You figured this out. Now I'm going to figure out another way where I take your device away. And I'm not saying that you can't do that if, they need to get up early in the morning for school.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then yeah, maybe you need to take their device out of their room at 10 p.m. or 11 or whatever it is. Then those are the rules that you're going to apply, but you don't want them sneaking around your back.
Yeah.
You want to have open dialogue, open conversations with them, and know that they can come to you for whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And they're going to rebel and they're going to do things, but this helps reduce that, and they learn to trust you more.
Yeah.
I mean, our kids talk to us about everything. Everything.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like,
you're like, woo.
Sometimes I'm like, I can't believe we're talking about this, but I'm glad we are though.
Well, Bodie, man, sometimes like we were watching Billy Madison and we were watching that just a couple nights ago or yesterday. And there was a part in there where, the teacher said, we're going to read this book, My Sister Fanny. And all the kids started laughing because Fanny is like a word for butt.
Yeah.
And and they're all laughing. And then she goes, okay, now kids, and these are supposed to be like all like first graders or second graders or something. She goes, now kids, turn to page 69. And none of the kids get it. But, Billy Madison, who's an adult in that class, starts busting up, ha, 69. And then Bodhi's like, I don't get it. And I was like, it's an adult joke. He goes, well, tell me. And I said, are you sure you want to know? Because it's an adult sexual thing. And he's just like, well, just tell me a little bit, and then I'll tell you if it's too gross. And I said, well, it is going to be gross. So let me just say, and he's like, okay, never mind. I was like, well, we'll talk about it when you're a little older. So, it's like you have conversations where you don't pretend like, nothing, that's nothing.
Right.
Because what's going to happen? He's old enough to go to Google.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. I don't want him looking that up.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for Google, my day and age, what did we do? We went and asked our friends. And how much worse was that? Because one of our friends had an older brother or sister. And if they asked their brother probably would have said something even nastier, And then all of a sudden we get that. And then we think that's what the truth is because we didn't have Google.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's worse, that or Google, because you search, what is 69? Who knows what images you come up with?
Now I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah. Be careful.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes.
So bottom line is be there for your kids.
Yeah.
Look for ways you can help plant seeds for other kids out there.
Yeah.
Whether it be, maybe, one of your kids' friends, or you start a program at the school and you see a kid struggling and you invite them to be part of that program and they're still struggling. And you see that they're interested in technology or something. Get them involved in something.
Yeah.
That, that they can learn to do something that they learn to love or they would love to do.
Sure. Yeah.
If somebody would have got me, I remember when I started getting into computers, I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I loved it, and if somebody would have came to me and said, hey, let me show you how to do this. Let me teach you how to do that. It would have been even cooler.
Yeah.
Maybe they love to draw. Maybe you get them a course on how to draw or something, or you point them in the right direction.
Yeah. Gosh, that's such a good point. And if more of us are doing this, we are going to see such a big change, because I was just recalling when I was in high school and I went through a really hard time, and there were many days I would have my head down in class, or I would say I need to go to the bathroom and I'd go and cry in the hallway and come back, and my teacher could clearly see I had tears in my eyes, and because a few times she asked me about it, but no one, even though a few of my teachers knew I was having problems, no one ever reached out to help me. And nowadays, I'm hoping that more of these teachers are going to start reaching out to students that are struggling in this way. Now, thankfully, I was never had the inclination to hurt others or be violent or anything, but I definitely was suffering in a major way. And, if some teachers or a parent or something reached out to me to help me, I was looking for help at that time. I wanted someone to reach out to me, but so instead what I did is I ended up looking, since I wasn't getting that, I ended up hanging out with a group of teens that was just as much messed up as I was at the time. I don't know if the word messed up is the right way, but struggling in a similar way. And we just ended up partying and trying to kind of...
You guys were lost.
Yeah, we were lost. And our way of hiding and getting, disconnecting from numbing pain.
Yeah, numbing your pain.
Was to party a lot. And
so you guys would just dance? Party dance?
Not party like that.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So drink and do drugs and stuff like that.
Do drugs. Okay, I'll just say it. Oh my goodness. Yes. did drugs and drank a lot, and
Now you're busted. We got you. Throw the cuffs on her.
did a lot of stuff.
You just admitted to it.
And thankfully, I did not have the addictive personality that I got lost in that. I do know a few people that I went to high school with that continued. In fact, there's this one kid who, his name was Jason, and after high school, he disappeared. And the last time I heard, he was like addicted to cocaine now. And it's just so sad, And so anyways, getting back to what
I have friends and family that,
Mm-hmm.
went through similar things, and some that were, been shot and killed.
Yeah.
For,
See?
being in those similar, types of situations where they
Yeah.
just never found their way.
Yeah.
They were lost from, from being a child all the way through.
That's right. Yeah.
And we one thing we do is we teach our kids to be compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're young, and it's difficult. Actually, the yogis say that it's not possible, right? That children don't have compassion until they're how old again? Was it
I think
18 or 20?
No, it was
something?
around 18. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And that was, the reason why is because it's for survival. So they can survive. It's in their DNA.
Right.
So regardless if that's not an excuse, that's just understanding that. I mean, another way of putting it is you can just say they're too immature until they're not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really no different than just saying they're too immature to truly care for others.
Yeah.
So we need to help shape them. And one thing we do with our children is we teach them to kind of stand up for others, and not, be a bully and not hurt other people.
Yeah.
And that, you don't like feeling like that, so don't do it to other people.
Yeah.
And yeah, they fight with each other, they're siblings. They get on each other's nerves. And just a couple minutes ago, we had to split up the kids and say, you go to your room, you go to your room. And then when this is over, then we're going to come down and lay down the law.
We're going to regulate.
But, teaching them to have that compassion and rewarding that.
Yeah.
And letting them understand that, that we all need to be in this world together, and we all need to be there for each other.
Yeah. And also that to have an open conversation that if their peers are teasing somebody or, whatever, making fun of someone, that you try to be the one that's not partaking in that, which is not always easy. I know, I've been there myself, right? You just kind of get caught up in it. You're with your friends, things like that. But, if we're teaching our kids, and this is just like a constant open conversation that we're instilling in them, then over time, they're going to start to become like that light as well. And, perfect example, Melina recently told me that so many of her friends at dance say to her, like, you're so nice. Like, I feel like I can tell you anything. And they're always saying that about her because she is not one of the people that will talk about people behind their back and things like that or tease people. And they know that about her, so they trust her. And I've heard this from even other parents as well.
Well, we've had our own kids tell us, don't say that about so-and-so, and be nice.
Yes.
Be nice to them, especially if somebody gives me attitude, if we're out or something and I'll mess with them and they're like, Dad, stop.
Yes. Well, it's kind of funny you say that. I was a few months ago, I was kind of saying something about the Kardashians and Melina's she's like, you're being very judgmental. She's like, all you know of them is what, we see on TV, and you don't really know them as a person. And but, she made such a good argument that ever since then, I don't say anything bad about the Kardashians. She actually opened my eyes that, you know what? Good point. I don't know them. I mean, all I know is what I see on TV. I'm not going to waste my energy judging another person.
Yeah, to be honest, and this is one thing that I've tried to teach her as well, is that they're just a brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's no different than, McDonald's pushing their burgers on everybody and and other, alcohol and everything else out there that's not good for you. And, and they're branding themselves.
Yeah.
And
they're very good at it, actually.
Yeah, they're very good. And I don't agree with almost everything that they do.
Yeah, me too.
But, again, they're branding and they've got an unreality show, right? It's not real.
Yeah.
But they, they play it off like it's real so they can sell more of their brand.
Yeah.
And again, we're there to teach our children and help guide them, but not to sit there and force them to be something that they're not. And, this just goes all the way back to, being the force for good.
Yes.
Being the beacon of light for others and coming up with some solutions that can help the children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
To help reduce the things that are going on in this world. And to teach our children to also be a beacon of light.
Yeah. Well put.
Thank you. Well, is there anything else you wanna mention before we get to our RockStar mission for today?
No, that's it. I'm ready for the RockStar mission.
All right. Well, before we do, we want to remind you to go to rockstarinlife.com, for the resources. If we have any resources mentioned in this episode, the transcript, download our free books, training, yoga, meditation, homeschooling advice, and so much more that we're constantly adding. Remember to go to rockstarinlife.com and join the Rockstar in Life revolution today. And today's RockStar mission is really a simple one, but it is super important, right?
Yeah.
And what that is commit to being that beacon of light, that force for good, and helping your children and the children of this world and everyone else to also see that light and to be there for them and help guide them. With everything we just talked about. Yeah. Commit to doing that. There's, and it doesn't have to be if you're working 2 jobs and you're having a tough time or whatever. I mean, at least be there for your child,
Yes. At least do what we were saying. Have open conversations often. Even if you can't be at their school, find out more about what's going on. Talk to them about what they're doing, who they're interacting with, what's going on with other students. It's really opening up the conversation more than what we're already doing,
Yep. Look for things that you can do.
Yeah.
And even if you have like 2 jobs or you work a lot or whatever, I mean, spending time with your child, coming up with ideas, starting something online.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do that when you're on the toilet, you can do that when you're at your job a lot of the times. What else are you going to do? Play Candy Crush or whatever the new hottest game is on your phone, right?
Candy Crush.
Instead, use that time for something else. Go to the school, come up with some ideas. Even if you can't contribute your time, maybe you can contribute some money.
Yeah.
Or you can contribute your time if you can't contribute some money. Maybe you can come up with the ideas. Maybe you're the idea person. Put something together or spark that idea in your child or another person, a family member, a friend, another parent. Spark that idea to where they start something.
Yeah.
That helps kids. Right?
That's right. Yep. Beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, don't forget not only to go out there and be that light, but don't forget to be a rock star in your life.
Make the world your stage.
Thanks for listening to Rockstar in Life, your source for unleashing your inner rock star. For more tips, training, and free stuff, be sure to go to rockstarinlife.com and join the Rockstar in Life revolution today. Thanks again, and don't forget to make the world your stage.